Welcome to Hashknife Hangouts. I'm Calen Carpenter. With me is my partner, co-host, and father, Brandon, the calving master right now. And before we get started, for those of you on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. You can shut off the notification bell if you want. Facebook, like, comment, share, and on all platforms, spread the word to your friends and the opening notes. All right. So frankly, we've talked about this before. It's hard for us to come up with lighthearted conversation or stories because a lot of what we do is it's plain just serious. Do we have fun with each other? Absolutely. But those tend to be kind of like small pranks and jokes or conversational jabs that we give each other as we're like walking out to the corrals. But the stories or events tend to be rare as we sit down and think about them. And why is that? Well, it's because we deal with life and death daily. I mean, you want to talk about circle of life, live on a ranch or a farm. Also, when we do things like building, fabricating, or repairing things, safety always becomes our primary focus, mostly, unless it becomes Braden, in which case we're like, yeah, Braden, jump right up there. So I got some lighthearted stories in the queue, and hopefully some of you will enjoy them. Today, I want to talk about some of the funny stories I've experienced, and then maybe see what Dad's got from his days growing up. I know he's got some fun stories with his grandfathers because he got to enjoy a lot of time with his grandfathers. And so starting with that, I know like me and Braden, we got to experience my grandfather in s'mores in the backcountry. He always said he never tried s'mores before. I didn't believe that. We'll talk about Braden and some of his escapades when he was littler and a certain name that he acquired. Me riding cows, possibly jousting, cowboy jousting. There's a difference. And then dogs while dad trained horses and what they did. And then, of course, always taking care of mom's little pug because he's such a special little helper. So, with that, any comments, Dad?
He's a champion cow dog.
Champion cow dog. Yeah.
Yeah. They come up yesterday and I'd I rode through everybody for about an hour and a half or so on this horse I'm working, and for some folks just trying to get it's really a really nice laid back quiet horse. But it doesn't handle. I mean, it's like riding a brick, so it's just, and I don't think it's fast enough to catch its shadow is what I told your mother. Um, I'm trying to catch or get around a yearling heifer yesterday, and she's just doing a light lope and outrunning me. I mean, it's frustrating. Well, so I got done with that, got everything done, and I had my breakfast. I went out and I thought, well, I'll go walk out here and grab the mail because they said they were coming. They're going to bring some mineral and some of the small things like eggs, paper towel, a couple of things I had on the list. And so I walk out to the mailbox and I'm got a cup of coffee in my hand. Walked out, grabbed the mail, walking back, and all of a sudden I hear them coming down the road. They turned in there, and then I heard barking and yipping. And it wasn't so much barking. They had Braden's dog Harley, Australian Shepherd, and then our dog Cubby, who's a mini Australian Shepherd, and the pug. And the pug is standing up. Mom's got him. She's driving, and she's got him, and he's got his paws on the steering wheel like he's
of course.
coming down the lane. And they had let the dogs out, and they came running at me, and I hadn't seen him in anybody in a week, so they were all giddy and happy, and wondered where I'd gone and if I'd died and if I was ever coming back, and just want to make sure there's plenty of dog food. But it's nice to see you again. So there was that. That was kind of funny, but come in and I don't know, we're just joking around. Braden's being Braden, just like. Yeah, but it was funny watching these dogs because they're just, they lose track of days, of course. And so the champion cow dog was right there. He wouldn't get out of the car, of course. He had to drive his way in there. But
yeah, of course. Yeah.
You got to take care of the pug. If you don't take care of the pug, the day is a loss, not only for the pug, but for you because.
Oh, yeah, you're going to get in the doghouse
Your
with
mother
mom.
loves that dog. Oh my, I've never seen her. She loves dog. There is never a dog that you can meet anywhere that she won't stop and try to pet and talk to to their owner, want to know about the dog. And it's like we saw a chocolate colored Newfoundland. We're at Shipton's.
I love Newfoundlands. I've never seen a chocolate one though.
I hadn't either. And we're walking, and I see this dog. They let their dogs come in our stores here.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Hey, look at there's a chocolate covered, and I think are covered colored. I said, I think he's a Newfie. He goes, what? What? You know, it doesn't matter the size of the dog, but great big dogs are really neat.
I was gonna say, yeah, she really likes big dogs, even though she's always had
Does.
medium, like normal size or small dogs. She loves the big ones.
She loves those great big giant dogs, and so she saw him, got a glimpse of him, and they were walking. So she turned and she's trying to catch him going down the aisle, you know, parallel. And finally, she sees him stop, so she zips down there. She goes, hi. I mean, she just starts loving this dog, and I'm like, okay, here we go again, you know. So I'm talking to the guy about him, and he's saying, oh yeah, he's just the neatest dog. He was only like a year old, but he's just huge, you know. And they don't live that long, but
No.
that's the problem with big dogs. You know, you don't get attached to big dogs. Sorry, I'm watching animals out there
Yeah.
through the living room window, trying to make
Well, I
sure
guess we'll
everybody's
start there
okay.
with my story. With
Yeah, let's go to your story.
with the
That was
pug.
just the greeting. Sorry.
Yeah, with the pug, we were what it was. I think my junior or senior year in college, and we got a pretty good snowstorm. Actually, it would have been my junior because we had that old fence line still running over there on the east side over by Langwell's.
Oh,
And
yeah.
wires had gotten snapped because they were old and they were like 50 years old. They needed to go away. And they did the next summer.
Yeah.
But like the we were trying to check the fence and trying to figure out why horses got out and stuff like that. And we were happy that we didn't have any horses that had been cut up because we knew that where they had gone through. So we went down the fence line trying to find it. Well, the snow had been piling up for a while, and it was about 3 feet. So I was trudging through, and
You
it
had
was up to
drifts
my
and stuff.
yeah, and it was up to my knees. Sometimes just above my knees. I was kind of hopping through it, and I was yelling back and forth with mom, making like checking things. And all of a sudden, I see this little fawn colored animal trying to hop as much as he can. Not well, because he's not very
No,
athletic.
He's not a jumper.
No, and he's getting over there.
He can
and finally,
jump down, but everybody can.
yeah, exactly. And then he finally caught up to me about halfway down this fence line, which is about a quarter of a mile. And when he got there, he looked at me and he just stood there. And of course, pugs are super barrel chested, but they got those little tiny legs. And he's in all the snow and he's looking up at me and he's just like shivering like crazy. I was like, oh, pug.
They don't thermoregulate very well. No,
not at all. So what do? I've got a sweatshirt. This is normally how I dress in the wintertime. Got a sweatshirt and my Carhartt vest on. And that was it. I think, that was all I had. And so I was like, oh, pug. So I literally grabbed underneath my vest and grabbed my sweatshirt and I lifted it up and I grabbed him and he was squirming away from me, of course, because he's like, what are you doing? And I grabbed him by his giant barrel chest and I shoved him up in my shirt and then I pushed him up and his little head just popped up out of my my sweatshirt and he was sitting there kind of like this. And he was super happy about it.
Oh yeah,
and he was
because
just
you're warm and
yeah, this is nice. And then finally, I was walking back up. I was like, okay, we figured out stuff. We kind of got it all set up. And I walked back towards mom. She's like, where's Tank? Where's my baby? I'm like, he's right here. And his little head popped back up. And she's like, oh, Puggy.
God, she's nuts about this dog.
Oh, yeah.
He's what, 8 now? 8 years old.
Something like that.
Yeah. Their life expectancy is around 13 to 15. So
he'll make it to 20.
I've only got 6 or 8 years left.
She pampers him. He'll make it to 20.
I have to die first because I am not wanting to live through that. Oh my God. It'd be easier if I just die. And, yeah. And she'd be less heartbroken probably too.
Probably. But you grew up with pugs too, though, didn't you, Dad?
I did. We had the little pugs. My grandmother, your great grandma Donna, raised pugs, and they're the coolest, neatest dogs. You don't think so. You just think of this ugly, mushed up face.
Because they are.
They are. But you know what? Those dogs are different than most dogs. It's amazing. They're just and you see people that have pugs and they are like pug lovers for life. I mean, and your mother's the same way. She never had been around a pug. And, I grew up we had 2 of them when I was a little guy, and they were just neat dogs, but they are absolutely valueless to do anything other than have them sit on your lap. That's all they are, and entertaining. That's it. And make you cuss because they're so damned independent. Oh my God, those dogs are independent. especially the males. Males dogs are
yeah.
independent anyway, but they just seem to be worse.
Yeah,
Oh
that's why I
God,
told Mom I'd never been around male dogs before because we always had female dogs.
females.
And then when you got the pug, and then we got Cubby.
I wanted a female, but
I know, and dealing with those two, they do not listen. I'm like, I'm never. When I finally get the chance to have a puppy, it's gonna be a female.
yeah,
It's
I
in
think
that.
they respond better to you. I think and not that these dogs aren't bonded because they really are, but on their terms.
Yeah.
You know, you call a female to you, and she's like, oh, hey, I'm here to help you. Male's like,
Mhm.
I'm a little busy right now.
I'll be
I
there.
got things to smell, got something to pee on. Hang on, just you got nowhere to go. Just wait. You know, that's their attitude.
It's pretty accurate.
Oh my God! So tell us about the s'more story.
Yeah. So that was gonna be the next one. So, what started it was, and this was what 2-3 years before Grandpa died.
Couple years, yeah.
It wasn't too long before he died, but there was a um there was something about we were going up to the mountains, and Dad said, "Okay, boys, this may be his last trip. So, if you see him grabbing something or doing something,
Work wise,
work wise, you immediately take over." I'm like, "Okay, got it." So that was the deal. And it worked out fine. We took care of it, and he eventually caught on, and he's like, "Okay, I get to enjoy." So we did.
mm-hmm.
We got lost on the way there, but hey,
we didn't get lost. We got misplaced.
Oh, we just needed to turn left. Next time.
We come to a fork in the trail, and we took it.
We did. Wrong way, but we took it. Anyway, and of course Braden doesn't live that down because he's like, "I told you guys."
Oh my God!
I told you.
Kid.
And he did tell us. Unfortunately he did. Anyway.
Sorry, I'm prepared.
Oh no, that's smart. Yeah, you were smart. Anyway, we're sitting down, and it wasn't the first night, because that first night when we were setting up.
Porta potty on this side.
What?
I got a coffee pot on that side, and I got a porta potty sitting right over here, so
okay.
I'm set.
Anyway, the first night we were sitting in, and we set up
that was
camp.
miserable.
We knew it was going to be just ad hoc because we were in the wrong spot, but we just kind of set something up, and it was raining all over. It did not stop.
No, that was miserable.
Oh, so wet. And then we woke up, and it was still wet, but it was drizzling at that point. And then it dried up a little bit, enough for us to be like, "Okay, yeah, let's pack up and let's move." And then it was great from then on out. I don't think it rained after that, but
no. Well, yeah, we really didn't set up camp. It was just a spike camp, enough that we set a tent up, grabbed with something to eat. You know, I had saddles covered with manties, and that was it. But some of those manties we didn't even unpack because we didn't need everything out of them. So yeah, it was kind of just a quick bike camp that was miserable.
Anyway, the next morning had our breakfast, and we moved out. And then we went all the way back to the fork and took the right fork this time. Actually,
the other fork.
The correct fork, which was the left one.
Yeah, that's true.
Went up, and then we started camping and stuff. I don't think we had s'mores until like a couple of nights later, and we're sitting there making them. Braden's all excited because we were 14, 12 or something like that.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't that. We weren't that young. We're probably like 16, 18. I don't remember. Anyway, we made s'mores.
You wouldn't have been 18. You'd have been about 14 and 12. No, 13 and 15. Right in there. Right?
Okay. Something.
Somewhere. Yeah.
And we started making s'mores.
Old enough that you guys were able to pack or build your own manties with Grandpa's help. He was.
Yeah, pointing.
Yeah, he was kind of helping you, but yeah.
And then we started making s'mores, and he goes, "Oh, I've never had a s'more before." I'm like, "Yeah, okay." Like, you spent like half your life in the mountains. You have never had a s'more. Got it. Okay, Grandpa. And he's like, "No, I haven't ever had a s'more." I look over at you. I'm like, "You hear this guy? He thinks he's gonna get one on me," because of course Grandpa was a trickster, and he was always trying to do stuff like that. And I'm like, "You didn't know." And Braden's like, "No, I believe you, Grandpa." I was like, "Stop sucking up to him. No, he has had a s'more." And to this day, I still think he's had a s'more, but you're making me, over the years, you continue to make me question it further and further. Maybe there's going to be one day where I admit that, yeah, he probably never has had a s'more, but
Well, you think
gosh
about
dang.
it. He didn't eat candy. I don't eat candy. That,
Yeah.
seldom do I have sweets. Pastries, that's not a sweet. That's a life choice right there. but
Okay.
but yeah, he just didn't eat candy and stuff, right? So chocolate wasn't something for him, and marshmallows are like too sweet.
Yeah, I'm
So
not really a marshmallow fan.
yeah, and I can never remember. I can never remember him eating a s'more growing up. I never had one until your mother made one for me. I never
Yeah,
had a s'more.
makes sense. She's the one that
So
got me in my sweet tooth. So
it's possible that he never had one. He said he didn't, and I was kind of believing him. But at first, I thought he was just trying to manipulate me into
yeah, exactly.
making
Oh yeah, I haven't had
s'mores
one of
for him.
these. Let me have
Yeah.
another. I've never tried
How
it
do you make?
before.
How do you put that together? You're slapping his hands.
That's what he
together
did. Oh,
of course, it wouldn't be like him to go over the top
on anything?
on anything just to get you guys to do something. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
he
that
did
was.
enjoy him though, but we got some pictures of that. He had that look on his face like, hey, these aren't bad.
Yeah,
They're sweet, but they're not bad.
they're not bad at all. No.
Yeah.
Another time I was thinking about, actually, because I think, who did I try? Did we try this with somebody? Was it Landon? I think uh
Scott
Scott and,
Marcia Olson's?
yeah, I think it might have been Landon. We tried to put him on ears one time, or somebody
It
like
might have
that.
been.
And
It
I
might have
thought
been
about
Landon.
that, and there's like when I think I was like 8 or 9, maybe even littler.
You were littler than that.
We went to Mark and Shirley's, and
Really good friends of ours got a place there east. Yeah.
yeah, and they had like our ears, our beloved ears. They had a cow named Leap. Leap was born on Leap Day. So real creative, much like us. Hey, she doesn't have ears. We're gonna call her ears. Well,
That's a
Leap.
twofer because you can remember the date too.
Yeah. I don't know. Did Leap have some of her stuff frozen off too?
Her ears were cropped, yeah,
Ears,
and her
okay.
tail, yeah. Oh yeah, she looked much like ears.
Just
Our
black.
ears is much more gone though. She had
Oh
a
yeah.
Leap
He
had
just
a
had like the tips gone. Leap just had the tips gone.
yeah, she had half her ears probably.
Yeah. Anyway, the they Mark like looks over because Mark obviously liked to mess with me, and he still does to this day. and,
Yeah.
and he goes, "Hey, Calen, you want to ride a cow?" I'm like, "No, she's really big." And he's like, "Well, she'll be all right. I'll be right there." So what do? We throw little old Calen up on top of Leap, and what does Leap do? She's like, She starts like taking off, and they grab. They're like, "Oh crap!" And they had to pull me off, but that was another good time.
Yeah, he was right there. He was close. It wasn't like you're gonna get banged up or anything.
But I mean, it also goes along with same people, similar time throughout the year, and he convinced me to catch hold of a bunch of calf scrotums after
Yeah.
we'd castrated the calves.
Yeah. Hang on to the sack full of those.
Yeah. Did you
Yeah,
smell
there's
them, or did
those.
Mom smell them?
Mom, I can't smell anything. You know better than that.
I just,
I
I'm thinking
I
about it now, like the smell.
yeah,
Mm.
that is what it is. So yes, that's the thing about you work around things are serious, but there's always some little thing that you go, oh man, let's see if I can do this. Some
Yeah.
small innocuous you would think that just to make somebody's day a little more humiliating or you know
I mean, we've definitely done that to Braden before.
well that's why he is like he is. Maybe some of that's our
Maybe.
fault
Maybe.
and your fault. I'm blaming you.
I'll take blame on some of it because I
Yeah.
definitely. So growing up, I definitely was the typical older brother. Was like, "Hey, I got a great idea. We'll go test it out." So we'll go set up whatever my great idea was, and then be like, "Somebody's got to test this. It's not gonna be
Yeah.
me." Hey, you're younger than me. You're not thinking too clearly. Hey, you want to try something for me?
That's what little brothers are for. They're the proving ground.
Oh,
You're the idea guy, right?
The
Yeah.
one thing was I was thinking about one of the times that we actually, as a collective, you, me, and Mom, were like, "Hey, Braden, you should try this," and we weren't trying to hurt him at all. We thought it would be better because it wouldn't stretch the rope. But we had a little zip line in the
Zip line.
treehouse,
Yeah.
and he just came barreling off of that, and he just hit his back smack on the ground, and he lost his breath, and he freaked
Oh
out
yeah. I felt bad because his hand, he wasn't expecting that,
to be slippery.
to be slippery on that handle we put up there. And man, he didn't make it 3 feet and just, just swung out and down. I was like, oh God, I felt bad. And he seems to hit the ground a lot.
I was gonna say that was
over
another
the
thing
years.
too. When he was really little, he didn't ride horses for a long time because he was afraid
Mhm.
one of them shook on him and flipped him off the saddle and did this exact same thing.
Yeah, he was about 3 or 4, maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Uh,
3.
yeah, it was. And he landed square on his back and knocked the wind out of him. That's scary, even when you know it's gonna. You can see something's gonna happen, and you get the wind knocked out of you, and you're going, "Ugh, God, I hate that feeling," because you can't breathe. And, that panic, and you just kind of like, okay, hang on, and then you finally get a breath. And I hate that feeling, but when you're a little guy like that, that's death. You're dying.
Yeah,
Or it's,
that's
"No,
exactly what it was
you
too.
can have my Legos, Calen."
They were Lincoln Logs, but yeah.
Lincoln Logs, what the hell ever. That's why you couldn't afford the good stuff. Yeah, so I whittled you some Lincoln Logs. Oh my God.
I was gonna say I always enjoyed Lincoln Logs a whole lot better than Legos, but
Yeah, did we even get you Legos?
no, I think the first time I got Legos, I was like a teenager. I was like, oh hey, I'm gonna buy myself some Legos.
19. Nice job.
Yeah. I spent the next week like building a Star Wars ship or something with them.
Oh, imagine that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Star Wars.
Nerd.
Mm,
Yep.
yes.
Oh, jousting. Haha.
Yeah.
You've jousted, haven't you, Dad? Did you win?
Well, that's a win-loss. I mean, you live through it, I guess you win, but the small battles in between, yeah, I've hit
talk
pretty
about
hard.
I was gonna say talk about hitting the ground and smacking your back and not being able to breathe.
Or your elbows, wrists, that kind of stuff is,
Yeah. Better learn how to fall.
yeah.
Did you joust
We,
in the saddle or bareback?
well, oh, yeah, you didn't use the saddle.
Yeah,
Why would
okay.
you do that?
I don't
We,
know.
we didn't really call it jousting. We called it tag, but it was same deal. We didn't have any long jousting deals. There's also cowboy jousting where you run at each other with a rope, and try to rope each other's feet as you pass. We've done that.
You lost against Taryn, didn't you?
Oh, she got me both legs. She did great. Yeah, I'm 240 pounds, and man, she pulled me down on the ground. It was awesome. She did a
She's
great
probably
job.
all of like what 120, if that.
Oh, maybe, but that's not the point. It's all about physics, right?
Yeah.
Of course, I did get her back too. So
Yeah, of course.
but
That was when the Giddy Up girls came and visited because I remember
yeah,
seeing that.
we had,
You're like, hey, you want to try this? She's like, sure. It
we had a
didn't
cattle
end up well
handling
for
clinic.
you.
Yeah, we had a cattle handling clinic here at the ranch with them and with Dunrover Ranch, and that was teaching them just a little bit of how to handle a rope, and that was funny because it's pretty easy, but for someone who's never had one in their hands,
I was gonna say handling a rope
it's
is easy. Actually roping something is far more difficult.
oh well, and I'm the world's worst roper. I mean, I really am. I suck at it because I just don't do it all the time. We just normally don't rope stuff.
Mm-mm.
And so that's a perishable skill. I mean, you can lose that skill in a hurry. But it was a lot of fun. Those gals, they enjoyed that. And but when I was a kid, everybody got to have their horse, whatever one they wanted, and you put a bridle on them, and you tied your reins up so they didn't drop. And you got on bareback, and somebody was it. And the way to make somebody else it was to push them off. If they hit the ground, you were it. And so, oh my God, we would play that game with cousins. Oh, geez, that was fun. So you'd have a half a dozen people playing tag on horseback, and you might be, you're trying to run away, and they'll grab you. And if they get a hold of your arm or your shoulder and you're bareback,
Oh yeah,
it's
you're
pretty
slipping
easy
right
to
off.
pull somebody off, right? So you just grab them, you just pull them backwards, and they fall back off the horse, or you push them, they fall forward off to the side, and you're trying to catch yourself. And yeah, it's a wonder one of us didn't break an arm.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You damn sure had a headache, and it didn't take long to get that. That's part of the price you pay for playing fun games.
How many concussions did you guys get?
Oh, geez, I don't know. I don't know. They weren't full blown concussions. Like my ears didn't ring or anything like that, but
I don't think my
it's
ears ever ring. Lost my balance.
yeah, well, but yeah, you'd have a headache for quite a while, but probably mini concussions. Who knows? But we didn't have any helmets. I can tell you that. No padding. I mean, we're sissies. Do anything like that.
What about remember dogs running around when you trained?
Oh
So
my god.
there were two dogs specifically. One became really good at it. It was the border collie. Yeah, the Springer Spaniel first. The border collie made a racetrack around the corrals, and I don't know what her cues were. Normally, it was like when you move the whip at all, she would move, but she
I
would
think
make just.
she cued off the horse moving.
Is that what it was?
As long as if as soon as that horse started, I asked that horse to move in a circle, that
Mm-hmm.
dog would take off. And she had this huge circle that I'll bet you the entire track. I bet it was a quarter mile she ran.
That's what I was thinking. I bet it was close to a quarter mile, just the way she
Yeah,
had it set up.
she would just go out and wander and just continue to circle as long as I was working a horse in that corral. It was the damnedest thing you ever saw. It's like, you don't have to do this, you dork. She liked doing it. She liked running.
She would get so hot, and I would see her,
Oh
especially
god.
in the summertime. She'd sit there and she'd take a couple minutes, and she would. What was really funny is we had a half a barrel, like just a normal plastic barrel, and we cut it in half and then filled it with water, and it would rock a little bit.
Cut it in half lengthwise.
Yeah, lengthwise.
Because
So
if you fed out of that or if you watered out of that in the wintertime, that's a real high density plastic.
mhm,
And with that rounded bottom, you could just flip it over, kick it with your foot, and all the ice would fall out of it. So
right.
you could clean it really easy. They're really handy to use like that. So yeah, you got a half barrel cut lengthwise. Anyway, full of water and
And she would just walk up there and plop herself in it.
Yeah.
And she had a lot of hair, like a typical border collie. And then she'd jump out, and her whole bottom half would just be wet. And then she'd be like, "Okay, I'm ready to run again." And she would
Yep.
run and get muddy and nasty. And then she'd plop herself in her water again. It was a constant process.
She's a great dog. Yeah. Well, and she did exactly what the Springer did. That Springer Spaniel I had got her, I think it was my senior year in college.
Uh-huh.
And your mother and I weren't married yet. And so I got her. And then your mom wanted a little Cocker Spaniel that because her dad.
She was so grumpy.
Oh, she was growly. Oh, and the Springer was just hyper. I mean, just super hyper. And so the vet called Brina was her name, called her the puppy from hell because she was just all over the place. And you couldn't slow her down. So mom wants this little Springer Spaniel, or I mean the Cocker Spaniel. And when she went and looked at her, we went, we need somebody who's a little, going to be able to kind of put up with Brina because it's smaller, but, and we're playing with all these little puppies that they had the pick of the litter because I think they studded out Tembo was the name of your Grandpa Henry's, her mom or her dad's dog. And so she got the pick of the litter. And we're looking at these puppies and playing with them. And all of a sudden this one is like, just growly. And we're like, that's her. she could. Oh my God, those two would go hooks. Holy crap, they would fight.
Yeah, I remember that.
Two big long ears, and they'd each pull each other's ears. And there was blood everywhere. They were just brutal at each other. But that was kind of the way it was. I mean, they stayed together from the time that I got Brina, had her, and then your mom got Sadie, and God, we had those dogs for probably 6-8 months. Yeah, before your mom and I got engaged, she was living with me, not mom, the dog. To make that one clear, and your mother would embarrass her. Oh my God, I did not live with him. So anyway, it was funny.
Like she just has to live with you now because she has a ring on her finger.
Pretty much, yeah. She could have done better, a lot better. Poor thing. She's always tired because she works constantly. Like,
yeah,
I do.
Speaking of making fun of people, particularly my brother, because he's not here to defend himself.
He won't come on this.
No, there was a time when we took a friend, a family friend, and a coach, mentor, teacher, and we took him with us on a fishing trip to the same area we took Grandpa on his last pack
Yeah.
trip.
Up on the
And
Lake Plateau.
and Dad managed to lose half the horses.
Didn't show. Well, I didn't lose them. I was watching them, and all of a
I
sudden, I was
watched
just
them. I watched you watch them run away.
yeah. Well, I was letting them graze because they were hungry. So we'll just turn half of them loose, and I had a couple others tied up, and I'm fishing close on the lake, and you guys were all scattered around and watching these horses. And as long as they keep their heads down and they're moving along and they're not going very far because they're eating grass and hungry, you're good. And then if you see them start to pick their heads up and get picky about the grass, they're not as hungry as they were. They're just looking for candy now. And but the problem was they were doing really well. And then all of a sudden, all of them at the same time. I'm like, oh, crap. So I ran to camp as they wandered off. I mean, they just decided to leave. And we're back there about, I don't know, 15, 18 miles, something like that. So I grabbed that one horse that was saddled, or not saddled, he was just tied up. So I was training him for somebody. I don't even remember. I think I remember the horse.
Because if I remember correctly, the 3 horses that left were my
Mountain
personal
Mountain.
horse,
Yep.
Braden's personal horse, and Grandpa's personal horse.
Yep. I wasn't too worried about you two because I could whip you at that time, but Grandpa. So I quick saddled that horse and I went looking for horses, and I went down the trail quite a ways, and it's like, what?
Yeah, you did. Because I remember I saw it happen. I
miles.
literally watched it happen. I was like, oh shit. I like ran over there. I was like, I was gonna try and help you. And then once I got over there, I tried calling you because I thought maybe you were close by. And I kept hearing like different things from different areas. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna try and play this game. I'm just gonna sit at camp and he'll come back when he needs to, and he can come get me for help if he needs to. But you were able to catch him on your own.
Well, and what happened was those goofballs, they just kind of took off through the woods, and the trail kind of comes around the lake, and then it goes up to another side. Okay, they're going to hit the trail here pretty quick. And so I'm riding, and I'm watching the trail for footprints, and I'm like, I don't see any headed out.
And it's starting to get dark.
It's going to get dark here in another half an hour or so, but and it gets dark quicker back there. And so I'm riding along and nothing. And I made it a couple of miles and nothing. And there were some people there. I said, hey, did you guys see some horses come by here? And they're like, nope. I said, okay. Well, I know they didn't come this far then because I'm not seeing much. I turn around and go back, and then I start working through the trees. And I made a noise. The horse stepped on a branch or something, and all of a sudden his head picked up. I went, oh, we're on to something now. And those horses stood still, and they're looking. And
it's a game for them.
Oh, it's a game. Hell yeah, it was a game. You do that to a bell mare with a bunch of mules or something or other horses, and they know when they're going to get caught.
Oh yeah.
And so that whoever's got that bell tied to them, they will stand stock still and not move because they know, that you're giving away. And they did the same thing. Pretty soon they couldn't help themselves because the horse I'm on, he's got nobody but me, right? And he'd rather have horses.
Oh yeah.
And pretty soon he knickers a little bit, and one couldn't help themselves. They had to talk.
Oh yeah.
And I got you. So yeah, that was a little hairy because I did not want those horses to be gone overnight. I was like, oh, this is bad. This could be bad.
They all had halters on still, right?
Yeah, they had halters on, so it wasn't a big deal. But because a lot of times I'll turn that horse loose if they're not picketed. I'll leave a halter on them and they'll let a lead rope drag, and that way you can pick them up. But the point is, if you didn't see the horse, you can't grab the lead rope either. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah, and they still got it with them, and they're still gone. So it worked out. It was that sudden panic of like, oh my God, if I lose the old man's horse, he's gonna kill me. I'm gonna be doornail dead when I get back, and I may not come back. I may just live up here and send you guys home. Tell your mother I had a nice life. Thanks a lot.
Well, and why is that?
Don't get a pug.
I said, why is that? Not necessarily because it's Grandpa's horse. That's Grandma's horse.
That one was, wasn't it?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Anyway, Braden also earned a nickname there. And I don't know if we should say anything, say the actual name because we might get canceled. But anyway, the the
Why would
name.
we get canceled for that? That's not a big deal.
Oh goodness.
I don't know. You think it's not
Yeah,
bad? I mean,
yeah,
huh,
yeah, because we're a sensitive culture these days. Anyway,
screw
Braden,
sensitivity.
Braden, seemed to, uh,
He was at that stage in his life where he whined about everything.
everything. Yeah, and it was
Right.
pretty. It
He
was
was
fun.
like what, 11, 10? Was he even that old?
I was thinking like 9.
He might have been. He was pretty little. Yeah,
Yeah,
because as we were riding in, Todd Rose, I love that guy. Great guy. History teacher. You had him for
coach,
all junior high and high
teacher.
school
Yeah,
coach. Yeah.
absolutely.
And we're going to go back to the largest lake up there on the Lake Plateau, Lake Pinchot. And we're headed back there. I don't think Todd had been there. But he wanted to fish it, so we went back and just
Because he's an avid fisherman and really
oh,
good fly fisherman too.
that guy
Ties his own
is
flies.
unbelievable what he can catch.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just is like a fish. I mean, he just knows what to do. He's amazing. And so we go back. Good person, outspoken. He just says his mind is what we think, and
Even
we
better
get along great.
storyteller.
He's a great storyteller. So we on our way back there, and we're riding. God, we've probably been riding 10 miles or so, and Braden is getting tired.
So about halfway, because it's
Yeah,
a longer trip.
yeah. We crossed up, and we had to go past some rock cairns to be able to find our way past one lake, and it's pretty soggy and boggy through there, and you got to kind of pick your way. And it was getting ugly. We get past that, and we're home free now. We get past this rocky spot. So he's getting whiny and tired, 9-year-old. I'm thinking he was 9.
Yeah.
And Todd's getting tired of hearing it. I'm getting tired of hearing it. When are we getting there? When are we there? How long? How much further? I'm tired.
My
God,
legs hurt.
my
My
legs
feet
hurt.
hurt.
Yeah, nothing's right. And so there's a little tiny piece of water, just a little, and it's not the size of, it's probably 15 feet across in
I could
diameter.
have
Maybe
unzipped
30.
I could have unzipped my pants and probably made a bigger hole or a bigger little watering spot.
Right. And we come up there, and Todd goes, there it is. There's the lake. And Braden, he looks at that, and he's like, the look on his face,
Oh,
he was instantly pissed.
oh, such disappointment too. He's like, we came all this way for that. There's no fish in there.
Oh my God, that was the funniest thing. Oh, that was one of the highlights of the trip right there.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, that was funny. So he was really started wailing and whining and crying, and oh God, it was so funny. So anyway, we no, then we had to reassure him that no, it's bigger than this. How much bigger? Then all those questions. Is there going to be fish? Am I going to catch fish? I don't know.
We'll see.
Probably not.
I think that was also the same trip that was the first trip you ever broke eggs.
Yes.
That was because of Mom's horse. I completely blame him. He was being real dumb.
I'd never, but that I've just been lucky a lot because you're gonna.
It's how you pack it though too. Because I've done stuff too, like the amount of moving I've done with the military, and then just going home, like trying to take trinkets and stuff home that are, I mean, like little tiny glass. Like, okay, how am I gonna take this back? I've never had problem.
You brought a wooden airplane home for me all the way from Calen, Estonia.
Yep. You're welcome. I don't know how I got that without breaking it.
Well, you unpack that thing and you go, oh my God, I gotta check this, and it's like, I mean, there's a huge wind because it was
everywhere I went. So that was in my carry-on, and because I was like, if I put this in anything other than my carry-on, it will be broken. The best chance I got is my carry-on. So I put it in there. I wrapped that sucker like crazy. I had like 2 or 3 shirts around it. I think what I did was I had like loose paper and I stuffed it between the struts. Cause I mean, it's like a old school biplane type in appearance, if I remember right. And I had all those little vertical struts. I like shoved paper in there, got it all nice and tight. Then I took a couple shirts, I wrapped it real nice and good and secure. And then I put all my stuff in my backpack. I put it right on top. And then I put another like sweatshirt over the top of that. And I was like, okay, real careful.
I'm amazed it made it. I'm amazed it made it. Yeah,
I am
but
too. I thought I
but
would have
break
at least broke something, but
yeah, but breaking eggs on a pack trip. I mean, it can happen. Just use them first. Big deal. If they're that's why
yeah.
I put stuff together in. I use a lot of plastic bags.
Hmm.
It helps. At least to contain what you've got. So yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. It went all along. I've traveled a lot of miles in the backcountry without
Well,
breaking
I was gonna
eggs.
say, and to be fair, I think did you take a dozen or 18 eggs? Probably
Oh, I
18.
probably took. Yeah, we were up there quite a while for 3 of us, 4 of us. So
Yeah,
yeah, I probably
and
took.
we only broke like two, so it's not like it was a big loss.
No, no. I mean, they were broke, but we used them, but they were
Yeah,
still broke. I mean, it broke the shell, broke the outside.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's probably
yeah.
the biggest. That's one of the greatest life skills I probably have learned growing up. How to pack really delicate things well, because I mean, like put them in a manty. Okay, all right, this is kind of important, so let's put it here. Oh, this is really important. The eggs, we'll put them here.
Yeah.
This is
It's
how we're
all
gonna pack
important
them.
when you're back there. It's all
Yeah,
important. Some
yeah.
are just more delicate than others, and yeah, you need it all. So it's funny. Yeah.
So that concludes all my stories. What do you have that from like growing up that like grandpas and stuff?
Well, I mean, I remember one time it's not funny, but it was scary, and the look on my grandpa's face was, uh, it was like December,
Uh huh.
Christmas time, right around like Christmas time when we're feeding cattle, and we're feeding with small squares, and they are labor intensive. You have to load the pickup up and or a trailer, whichever you had. And I think we were just loading off of a trailer at that time, wooden flatbed trailer, and so we backed that thing up to the stack. And as I recall, what you would do is because he was working for the Grandpa Yates, Alan, he was working for some people north of town here, and they had him and another guy that were hired. The other guy was a really good mechanic, and so he did all the mechanical stuff. But in the wintertime, everybody pitches in and they do their part and they feed. And he had a couple of kids, boys, just a little older than me, and they would take turns. You'd have that trailer loaded so that the next morning, you just hook up to it, go out, feed it off, come back, feed it, however many loads. And I think we were doing that 2 loads of hay on that trailer for those cows, and then come back and then load it a third time, or you're just loading it twice, but 3 loads. And it was kind of funny because I crawl up there because I'm young and nimble and probably 12, 13 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a hay hook in my hand. You can see this coming. And so I crawl up there on this small square stack, and I get to the top and I'm kind of kicking some bales off. Well, it was like at a seam, and all of a sudden the whole thing gave way with me on top of it.
Oh yeah.
And I got that hay, and I'm pushing my hand, and I got that hay hook in my hand, and I come down and fall. I'm watching, my grandpa's watching me, and nothing he can do about it. And I come down and I landed, and that hay hook landed in the dirt, in the ground, or I think it was a bale, right right by my eye as my face come down. He's like, I mean, you could just see if that had went in, that
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah.
And it's like, so that was a
You didn't
kind of
you
that
didn't think to
sickening
try
look
and
on his face.
you didn't think to try and sink it while you were falling or
I
anything?
was just hanging on to stuff, and
Oh
that
yeah.
happened to be in my hand, and I'm just trying to. I mean, it happened so fast. You just bam, you're down. The whole thing gave way. So, but that was, yeah, not as, it wasn't funny, but when it's over with, it's kind of funny. It's like,
Like
I lived
whoops.
through that. Yeah, that happens. That happens a lot. Oh God, there was a. I was just telling your mother about this. We took a trip on Friday. Mom didn't have any school, so I got everybody looking around here, tagged, and everybody's looking good. Didn't look like anybody was going to calve, so I thought, all right, your brother's he's going to Lewistown to start work, pretty soon here for firefighting. And we're going up, and I rode all of this country north here. I mean, as a kid, I was all over that thing. And I come to a spot, and I was telling him about how Grandpa was living up there, and there was a hired man's kid. I was about 14 probably, and he'd have been like 16, 17. He had a car, piece of crap car. and he's always wanting to go to town. Let's go to town. Let's go to town. Well, it's 20 miles to town. Dirt roads, gravel roads, dirt
Yeah.
roads, not even gravel. And so he kept asking me, and I'm like, Grandpa's never gonna let me go. I'm not even asking, you know. Finally, he asked Grandpa, he says, can he go with me to go to town? We're gonna go to town. I'm gonna go to town. I just want to have someone go with me. Of course, he was wanting to get some beer, you know,
Yeah.
and finally Grandpa says, all right, you can go to town. And you know, it's late. It's getting, you know, by 9:45 when it's starting to get dark. It's right in the height of the summer, right in the end of June. And finally he says, all right, you can go, but you got to be home by 10. So we get in his car and we're busting down the road, driving way too fast. And we get into town. That was pretty anticlimactic because there was not a soul in town. I mean, there's nobody, you know, there were older people, but there was nobody we knew from school. So he drives around a little bit, dinks around. We decide, okay, we got to head back. So the hill going out of town, it's called North Hill, and it's a pretty good grade going up that thing. And it's probably from the bottom to the top, you're looking probably 3/4 of a mile to a mile to the very top. And I'm guessing that thing's probably about a 6% grade, somewhere in there. Well, we get towards the top, and he's got that thing floored, and it ain't going anywhere. It's just engine's running, but it's barely moving. So we got the doors open, and we're kicking with our feet to get this thing over the top of the up the hill, and it won't go. And we're like, oh my God, this thing's going to die on us. We finally, I mean, we're pushing all we're worth. He's still got it floored with one, trying to hit one leg out. I've got the other on the other side on the leg out, trying to push his car up, pushing against the door frame. Get to the top, and it's like, woohoo, we made it. Start picking up speed, and we go down the other side, and we head north, and we get another probably, about 7 miles, 8 miles, and that car dies. And it's
Did he have
like,
did he have no fuel in the car?
oh no, it was just a piece of crap. There was fuel in it.
Oh, okay.
It was dying. And I'm scared because my grandpa's going to kill me.
Oh yeah.
Because we had to be up at like 4 or 5 the next morning to
Yeah.
ride. We had to go gather.
Got stuff to do, man.
Yeah. And so when you go to bed at night, Grandpa would go, breakfast is at 4. That means if you hear, and the place would be filled with smoke, you know, I mean, from the grease and him cooking bacon or ham or, you know, frying eggs and hotcakes, but he cooked with high heat. So on cast iron. So it would just, you know, the whole place would be, and you can hear him in there banging pots, man. So you better get your butt up and be ready. So I knew I had to get to bed because 10 o'clock was 10 o'clock. And this is going to be bad. I'll never go to town again. I'll never see another town again. You know? And so, because it's remote out there. So I'm just, oh my God, my heart sinks when this car won't start or it won't keep going. And we pull off and it just turns, it just cranks, it won't do anything. I mean, it just won't start. And I was like, oh my God.
In pre-cell
So,
phone days.
oh, cell phones were there was a cartoon called Dick Tracy. It was and the guy had a wristwatch on Dick Tracy, and he talked through his wristwatch, and that was so far out there beyond reality at that time. So no, we were lucky to have landlines.
I was like,
you know, regular
even
telephones.
today, out there in the location you're describing, it's not like a cell phone would work anyway.
No, I don't. There's still no coverage out there. No, you're absolutely right. So anyway, we go past this spot, and I'm telling him about the story about this, and we decided that, you know what, we just gonna need to start walking. And it's dark and it's hot still, and snakes like to come out at night and lay on warm, and like, ooh, and that country is rattlesnake infested. And like, we got no flashlight, you can't see, it's dark. I mean, dark. And I'm like, we get probably a couple 100 yards, like, nope, ain't doing this. I'm going back to the car. So we go back to the car. We're going to spend the night. Well, maybe they'll come looking for us. And so he's in the front seat laid out. I'm in the back thinking, okay, we're going to be just here for the night. And I'm laying there. We're kind of talking and weighing our options. And I'm looking at the roof of this inside this car, and I can see light coming up the road. I'm like, hey, somebody's coming from town. So we jump out, go out there, and this car comes up and stops, and Here it is, old Bert and Marianne Morsany, and they live up even further north and a little bit to the east. Had a beautiful little place there. And she's the one, I was just telling them this same story. I remember being in the restaurant, side note here, and she was sitting in the booth with Bert, and Bert at that time was probably 70,
Mm-hmm.
75. I mean, they were elderly. To me, that was elderly. And everybody smoked. It was rare if somebody didn't smoke, right?
Oh yeah,
And
of
they
course.
smoked everywhere. And I see her, she whips out something out of her purse, and it's some cigarette papers. And then she's got some velvet tobacco out of she flips this can open and she spreads out some tobacco and she's rolling her own and she licks. And I'm watching, I've never seen a woman roll her own cigarettes.
Mm.
And not many people were rolling their own anyway by then. Most of them were store-bought, tailor-made cigarettes. And I watch her, and she licks the end of that, rolls it up tight, and hands it to him. He takes it, and then she lights it for him. I'm thinking, huh, I'll be danged. She pulls out another one, and she's rolling one for herself too. I'm like, oh my God, sweetest, just the nicest people in the world. And they're long since dead, but he'd pull up, and she says, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Mrs. Morrison, to me, I'm Brandon Carpenter." And she goes, "I know who you are." I said, "Well, the car quit, and we're trying to get up. Would you just take us north to where the road turns, and you can drop us off, and at least we get that." And she goes, "Oh no, we're not doing that. You kids get in." So we get in, and they take us on. And I assured her that it was fine. I didn't want to put them out, you know.
Yeah.
And they took us in there, and it was like, by this time, it's almost like 10 or 11:30 midnight.
Yeah.
I'm trying to sneak in the house really quiet so I don't wake Grandpa up and make him mad. And I walk in, or just get in bed. He goes, "Where are you been?" I mean, you can just he's yelling. I'm like, "Oh, Robert's car quit and it died, and we just got a ride from Morrison's." And I mean, I'm just trying to talk as fast as I can. And I'm, yeah, all right. We have to get up in a few hours. And he had laid there that whole time, and he's
Oh yeah.
probably up pacing around. And so next morning, I figured, oh my God. And he's like grilling me. What's the matter? Where's his car? And I said, well, it quit. I told you it's out there. All right, we'll see. And I'm thinking, oh my God, they're going to go out there and this car's going to start. I'm a dead man. You know?
Or worse yet,
Not
somebody's already
thinking that-
come and got it, and he's like,
right.
"Where's the
Well,
car?"
not thinking as a kid, like, okay, why would we leave a perfectly good car? Right. You know, or there's a reason why it's there, but you're thinking all of the worst case scenario. And so then Robert's dad goes out there, and oh yeah, it was done. That car was toast. That was his last ride. It was never going to run again. So saved by a engine malfunction. I thought I was done for, but it was
geez.
good. It was funny, but yeah, that was it's kind of neat to go through that country. We went over the top of the Red Hill Road. You're looking at 60 miles of gravel, or well, not 60 miles, 50 miles of gravel road up there. Go to Lewistown over the top of the mountain, and the road was about what I expected the other day. It was snow-packed ice and ruts where you were just going through it. And it's like, yeah, another week before we may not have made this through here. So, and we come around the highway the rest of the way, so it was good trip. But yeah, that was there's some, you don't think of stories until some little thing will just jog your memory about something you thought was like, oh my God, I haven't thought of that in years. There's a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
We were the same thing. We were feeding, and it was Christmas Day. And my grandpa and I were feeding out there way north, and we see this airplane fly over, a Super Cub. I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, I loved airplanes, and I'm looking and go, hey, look at that. He's like, yeah, oh yeah. He says, I think that might be the guy that's checking pipelines. Oh, okay. And I get out and I get the gate and I look, and he circles around us and comes back, and I see something stream out of the airplane. I'm like, he just dropped something, Grandpa. And he goes, oh, I didn't see anything. Close the gate. And so I just ran over there, and here is a card with some jelly beans. It was a cardboard deal with some jelly beans tied to it in a sack with a rubber band around it, and it said "Merry Christmas" from Larry Larson, and he's still in Laurel to this day.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I saw him one time when I was a warden fishing underneath a bridge there by a Laurel, and checked his license. I didn't recognize him, and I went, "Larry Larson, you're a pilot." And he goes, "Yeah." And I told him that story. Oh, that's pretty cool. But yeah, so we had Christmas jelly beans that That
That's
day
pretty
dropped
neat.
from an airdrop on a Christmas morning.
What'd Grandpa say when you brought the jelly beans?
Oh, he's like, oh, I'll be danged. I didn't see that. That was pretty cool. So
Did he
we
have
split
some?
some jelly beans.
There you
Yeah,
go.
he had a couple of them. Hell yeah. How often does that happen, you know?
Oh yeah, never.
But you know, he's okay. Think of this, the logistics of this. And he may have had them already made up if he saw
Mhm.
somebody. But he's flying an airplane that's a stick, not
Right.
not a yoke.
Mhm.
So he's got the stick and he's putting this thing together because, you know, you've already got the streamers, you know, because it was from like a spray plane, probably is what it was, one of those drop cards. But he had, you know, written on that. And you can see how if I recall, the writing was kind of sloppy because he probably wrote it out at that moment and did that. I thought that was pretty cool. That was a neat little Christmas present. So
Nice.
anyway,
Well, I think there's enough stories for for an hour.
entertaining. Maybe they're entertaining. I don't
Yeah, I
know.
hope so. I mean, we'll throw them out there. We'll see what they'd say. But
There you go.
yeah.
All right. Well, everybody, if you've got nothing else, I guess we will thank you by telling you that's all you're getting until you're better paid.